Pay attention, a girl quits her high-paying job and spends $800 to buy this abandoned small yard. You can tell, this yard has been left abandoned for a really long time. The whole yard is full of overgrown weeds everywhere, but since the price is a real bargain, the woman doesn't have high expectations for this yard. To make sure this house is still livable, the woman starts looking around the house. Even though this yard isn't super big, the overall environment is still pretty satisfying to the woman. After all, this style of yard is exactly what she wants. Behind the yard there is also a fairly large area for raising animals. Further back there is an orchard and also a pretty big pond. You can see in the orchard there are still lots of jackfruits. Once this place is cleaned up, she can move in and live here right away. Soon the woman calls in professional workers to start clearing out this yard. First they clear out the area in front of the entrance completely. That way the yard looks a lot better. Really, this yard just has too many weeds and the house is a bit old, but after she cleans it up herself, the yard environment should improve quite a bit. Now the workers are using tools to clear out all the weeds inside. Meanwhile, the workers in the back start gathering the weeds on the ground. This kind of smart teamwork makes clearing the yard go a lot faster. Honestly, this yard isn't anything special. It's just that the price is pretty low. As the workers keep clearing, the yard is starting to feel more spacious. Before it didn't look very big, probably because it was covered in weeds. After the workers clean it up a little, the yard looks a lot roomier than before. Now the workers continue clearing the weeds on the side. This spot was probably meant for building a house, but for some reason they stopped halfway through. Later this area can be torn down and redone, since this structure doesn't really fit here. But even though it's not needed now, the workers still try their best to clean it up. There is a lot of construction debris, which does make it harder to handle. At the back part of the yard, cleaning up is much simpler. Actually, this yard is fenced in, which makes managing it a lot easier later, and fixing it up won't cost too much either. At this point, the workers start digging into the ground one after another, trying to get rid of those stubborn weeds. At first she thought this yard wasn't that big, but after they cleared it out, she realized the yard actually takes up 5 or 6 times more space than she expected. This gives the woman a lot of room for future renovations, but dealing with it on her own later is going to be pretty troublesome. If she doesn't make use of the empty land, it will quickly grow back with weeds, and then it will be really hard to handle. If she clears out all this empty land completely, the cost is definitely going to be a lot higher. The main work today is dealing with the weeds, because this yard is just so huge, with a lot of open land not being used, which is why there are so many weeds in these areas. Only after clearing all of it out completely will the yard finally look somewhat livable. The area they are working on now was probably meant for raising livestock, but after the woman moves in, she definitely won't be raising animals here. So later she might need to make a few changes to it. Moving to the side of the yard, there are even more weeds than she imagined. Most of the weeds grow way taller than a person, so clearing them takes quite a bit of time, and there are many jackfruits in this area, some of which might already be ready to pick and eat. You can see this spot is not much different from a wild jungle. It's precisely because this area has been abandoned for so long that there are so many weeds here, and these vines are also pretty hard to deal with. If a professional hadn't come to clear it out, this part of the property could never be cleaned up properly. In the backyard there is also a huge fish pond. The abundant water makes the weeds grow like crazy. If she doesn't maintain it regularly later, this area is going to be a real hassle. Even with so many workers cleaning now, it's still hard to completely get rid of all the weeds here. Only after clearing all the weeds around the yard will the whole place start to feel more open. You can see, with the workers' efforts, the yard has really changed a lot. The weeds near the edge of the pond have been cleared away bit by bit. Now the yard looks very open and airy. Finally they trim back the thick branches a little, and that wraps up the yard cleanup.